in the life of Nipsey Hussle, it appears, or the death of Nipsey Hussle, I guess he's not here anymore, but he seems alive because it seemed like people brought him to life after he passed. Um, his child's mother seems to be having some issues. Her name's Tanisha Foster, and she actually has a warrant for her arrest out in the middle of his custody case. Or if you, in case you didn't know, there's a there's a custody situation going on where apparently Nipsey's family is trying to take custody of Nipsey's daughter, and and it's getting really messy, as a lot of custody cases do. And I'll explain to you guys in a second why this story really kind of got my attention. Um, anyway, let me say this. Please hit the thumbs up button as we get started. I think that's very important. Please hit the thumbs up button. Also, make sure that you join our social media platform, Black Enough. This is how you spell it. Black Enough is the Facebook for Black people. Basically, this is where we gather to escape the tyranny of Mark Zuckerberg and people who want to say that Black people are dangerous. I want to say good morning to Mama G, Anthony Washington, my ancestors' keeper. It's going very well, thank you. Ramona Blake, Hot Boy Rel, Lisa Long, Alonda, Queen, Pertana, Sharon, Alicia, B. Riley, Street Song, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, the interesting thing here is, that when you talk about things like this, it's funny. People ask me all the time, why would I even talk about something like this if I'm a financial guy? And the thing about it that people have to understand is that money leaks all throughout your life, and your life leaks into your money. The inability, or better yet, making bad decisions as it pertains to, your relationships is a surefire pathway to be broke. For example, if a man has a lot of kids with a lot of women, he's in many cases he's going to have financial problems. Tell me yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. How many of you know of at least one Black man who's getting his ass kicked by child support court? How many of y'all know at least one Black man who financially has been devastated by child support, the payments of child support? Now, I'm not saying Nipsey was in this category at all. I'm not saying that at all. I'm bringing this up as a because it's all about you. It's not about me. It's not about Nipsey. It's really about you. It's about you watching the podcast and finding the teachable moments. Because as you know, this is the platform for intelligent Black people, and so intelligent people can see opportunities to learn and everything. Right? Like when I grew up, and I was watching my dad and my uncles and people like that. I learned a lot from watching the mistakes that people ahead of me made. I didn't learn so much from the things they did right all the time. I learned it more from the things they did wrong. I learned from watching people go through hell, because of choices, and so the reality is that, if you think it ain't news, the fact is that if you don't see it as news, then you don't understand life. You don't understand how this shit works. You can't build wealth. You can't be a true wealth builder if you don't know how to pick your queen in a proper way. Or you can't be a wealth builder if you can't pick your king in a proper way. Because wealth comes most easily through empires. Wealth comes through empires, and empires require adequate choices of kings and queens. Empires require strategic decision making as it pertains to what's going to happen with the greatest investment that you ever make in your life, which is who you choose to have children with, when you choose to have kids, etc. So, so my point, and the reason I want to bring this story up, and I'm gonna dig into the details in a second. I think this is important to talk about because I think as a Black community we lost the importance of understanding why the baby mama baby daddy phenomenon honestly is not good for our community's long-term wealth building prospects. If you go to Africa and you go check out rich African families, most rich African families don't have a bunch of baby mama, baby daddy stuff going on. They just don't. That's some shit white people taught y'all. That's some shit that was built off of slavery. So again, I'm not. It's not a diss on anybody who's done that because I mean, if I'm dissing people, then I have to start with myself, because I had a child out of wedlock when I was 18. You have sex, things happen, whatever, but I paid a price for it. I didn't get a chance to raise my daughter the way I wanted to. I would have raised her, in a way that was consistent with who I am. She picked up a few things from me, but she didn't pick up as much as I would have liked. The money was insane. Especially the more money I made, the more money I paid, and I did not enjoy that. And it wasn't so much about paying the money; it was really more so about, remember in the American Revolution? Y'all remember when they used to talk about taxation without representation? Anybody remember that? Taxation without representation. Well, when you're a man in America, that's kind of the model. The model is taxation without representation. You pay all this money, and you get no say in what happens with this money. The money gets spent, and you're like, where'd the money go? Your child calls and says, hey, I need another $200-300 for a field trip, and you're like, I just said, ask your mama for the money, right? But that also creates awkwardness for the child. At the end of the day, it ain't about whether it's the mama's fault or the daddy's fault. We know one thing for sure. We never know for sure if it's the mama's fault or the daddy's fault. That's always up for debate and interpretation. But what we do know is that when there's drama, the child always suffers. The child always is confused, going through hell, because they want y'all to get along. They want parents on the same page. They don't want their parents saying, I love you, sweetie, but I want you to hate that motherfucker over there. Like, kids don't want to hear that shit. Kids don't want to hear you tell, your mama crazy and your mama did. Kids don't want to hear that shit. Kids' mothers are like female Jesuses. Kids' mothers are female Jesuses. Like, you can't, don't say, and this is advice for you. Any parents out there, do, if you say anything about the other child's parent in front of the child, I'm gonna come to your house and I'm gonna sit you down, and first I'm gonna slap you, and then I'm gonna talk to you. Like, because seriously, first I'm gonna slap you, then I'm gonna talk to you. And the reason is because you cannot do that. You cannot talk negatively about the other parent in front of that child. The child ain't gonna get it. They're not gonna see your point of view. Your child don't care that she used to be a hoe. Your child don't care that he ain't shit. Your child don't care, that about what she that she, that she's half crazy or whatever, or that she's mean or whatever. The child don't care. The child don't care that he was fucking other women while y'all were dating, or what, it hurt your feelings. The child don't give a shit. The child cares about none of that. The child is like, that's my daddy, and I love my daddy. My daddy's great, and that's my mama, and I love my mama. My mama's great. Like Tupac said, even when talk about his mama, even when you was a crack fiend, you was always a black queen. So he didn't care. You can go to Pac and say, well, your mama was using drugs, and that's why she. Kids don't want to hear that. And kids are smart. They figure things out, but they may not always come to the same conclusions that you come to, and you have to accept that too. Okay. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. You're on drvoicetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Please take a second, hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you want to get a text alert when I go live, text the word Boyce, BOYCE, to 31996. Text Boyce to 31996. I'll let you guys do that and hit the thumbs up button real quick while I send out a text message to the rest of the family. Let them know that we're live. Okay. All right. So also I want to say thank you to everybody who came out to the event in Philadelphia. We had a one-day investing summit, and we were testing it out to see how well it would go, and it was extraordinary. The results, the testimonies were all very positive, extremely positive. And so if you want to learn more, if you want to, because we may take it to some other cities. So if you want to know if you think it's worth the investment or not, go look at some of the testimonials. You can check it out on my Instagram page, The Real Boyce Walkins. If you go to The Real Boyce Walkins, that's where I am on Instagram. So everybody go follow me on Instagram. If plus my Instagram, has a lot of interesting stuff. I'm not going to say it's good or bad. I'll say it's different. It's not the same as the bullshit that you see on the gram, where somebody takes a picture of their lunch or some girl's posing with her ass out. Like, just silly shit for people just seeking attention. I actually try to use, I'm a teacher at heart. So every platform I have, I use that as a professor would use it. You know, I love teaching. Teaching is great because I think I see lessons everywhere. There's life lessons everywhere. And my daddy used to teach like that. My daddy was like an OG type person. He'd be like, you see that motherfucker over there? Look at that nigga over there with the wine bottle in his hand. You want to be like that nigga? No, no, dad. No. Well, then you stay away from drugs. Like that was how my daddy would teach me about drugs. Like because when we was in high school, he was the man. Everybody liked him in high school, and then he thought he was cool. He started smoking dope and doing this and doing that. Now look at him. Do you want to be like that motherfucker over there? And I'd be like, no, I don't want to be like him. You know, and that was how my dad taught me, and I love it. It was great because it was real. It was relevant. You know, it was better than like going to school and some white lady is teaching you out of a book written by another white person, and you don't even understand what the hell's in the damn book, and you don't even want to be there, right? At least my father gave me real life lessons, and I feel bad for people that didn't have a father there to really tell them the truth about life. So let me tell you the truth about life. Here's the deal. So actually, let me give you the details of the story first. First, the details of this. This is important just to know. Nipsey Hussle's child's mother. Her name is Tanisha Foster. She was busted for DUI. And let me. Oh, wait, sorry. They said that she skipped out on a court appearance in a DUI case, and that's why she is. That they have the warrant issued for her arrest. Which, if I'm not mistaken, they're in the middle of a custody battle. So I imagine this will help their case a lot. So apparently she was arrested for DUI, which, by the way, you know, I'm biased. I hate that crime. I hate DUI. You know, I just had a young man I mentor and I love Jay Ortiz. He's a rapper in Philadelphia, and Jay was almost killed this week by a fucking drunk driver. You know, so if you have a friend that you know is drunk driving or getting behind the wheel and driving, or while they're intoxicated, kick their ass, like seriously, because you might get somebody killed by overlooking it and letting it slide. You know, and if you are in that category and you're not getting help, then shame on you, because innocent people die from that shit every day. You know, it's terrible shit. So anyway, Nipsey's baby's mama's, well, they say baby's mama in TMZ, but I'm not gonna say baby's mama. I say child's mother. Baby mama just, I don't know. What do y'all think? Do y'all like the term baby mama, or do y'all just not give a shit? Like, yes or no? Like, do you think that that's a? I don't like using that term. How do you feel about the term baby mama? That's what TMZ used, and I almost feel like that's some racist shit. Like TMZ, because they like that. They you know, hood culture to them is entertainment. You know, they're kind of they do kind of what Vlad TV sort of does. Vlad TV, I know Vlad. I've talked to him a few times. He's a smart guy. He's a nice guy, but Vlad, you know, I've heard people say Vlad. They feel like Vlad is a little bit of a culture vulture, and I'm not going to disagree. I think Vlad has this weird fascination with black people, like this interesting fascination with gang culture, and you know, if you watch his show, he has all these like black porn stars on, and so he loves the black porn stars. He loves to bring on the rappers to talk crazy shit about other rappers, and I don't know if it really, you know, I think that what he does is he sees that there's a market opportunity because of the fact that everybody's listening to the rappers, white and black. You know, black people, I don't know why we put our rappers above everything else. It's not that some rappers aren't brilliant people, but there are other brilliant people who are not rappers. A person should not have to make their shit rhyme for you to pay attention. A motherfucker should not have to, you know, give you knowledge to a beat for you to be like, oh yeah, that's that. I'm gonna listen to that. That's some real shit. You know, seriously, no disrespect to rappers. Rappers are great. I have a lot of friends that are rappers, a ton of friends that are rappers. But fuck, man, like y'all not gonna listen to nobody else except the goddamn rappers. Give me a motherfucking break. What's what you, and you wonder why we're behind. You wonder why we struggle. You wonder why we're not making progress. You wonder why you know, we seem to be stuck running in place. Well, because you got 95% of the black community, that the 95% of the intelligent black people out here anyway, that are not rapping, that are not, you know, giving knowledge to a beat. We need to celebrate our black attorneys that are brilliant. We need to celebrate our black professors that are brilliant. Robert Smith, the guy who just paid the student loans for all the students in Morehouse, that motherfucker been worth billions for years, and most of y'all didn't know shit about him. But y'all know everything about, every year we're reminded about Nas and Jay-Z. If you'd ask a lot of black people, who's the richest black man in America? A lot of motherfuckers would say Jay-Z. Am I right or am I right? Oh, they would be like, Drake. The fuck? Do you know that there are some quiet ass black men out here that could literally buy Jay-Z 15 times over? Like Robert Smith is just a guy that didn't really want all the attention. That's why, because he can think about it. This man, it ain't like he couldn't get on TV if he wanted to. Robert Smith could buy a fucking TV network Sorry, he could buy 40 TV networks if he wanted to and put himself on them all the time, every day. He just chose to lay low. He probably, I don't even know how he feels about the publicity he's gotten for the Morehouse stunt. Or you want to call it a stunt because it sounds bad, but it wasn't a stunt. I think on the surface anyway, it appears to be a legitimate move by him to benefit his community the way he's benefiting everybody else, because he does a lot of charity, and I think it's great that he's doing some philanthropy in the Black community. But anyway, with that said, let me get back to this story. Let me just move back. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. So Tanisha Foster was busted for DUI in Los Angeles a couple of years back. So that was when it initially happened. She pled no contest to one of the charges and was sentenced to 3 years of probation. Foster missed a court date on the case on May 15th. Her probation was revoked and a bench warrant was issued. One thing you may not know, you should know, especially young people and those who mentor a young person. Once Black people get caught in the criminal justice system, you're kind of officially fucked. Like you're kind of like it's a terrible, terrible matrix to get caught into. And I love the fact that Meek Mill, again, giving props to the rappers that are just really the ones that are really doing the right thing by their people. I give props to Meek Mill for the fact that Meek Mill has drawn attention to the fact that once they get you in that damn system, they find every excuse to lock you up. So literally, jail is the threat for damn near everything. You fail your P test, you're going to jail. You don't turn your paperwork, you're going to jail. You miss your court date, you're going to jail. You miss your meeting with your parole officer, you're going to jail. You take off your ankle bracelet, you're going to jail. You come to court and you talk back to the judge, you're going to jail. Like, everything is always going to jail, going to jail, going to jail. You leave the state without permission, going to jail. And so if you want to know why the United States leads the world in incarceration, it's because we incarcerate the shit out of people, and the people that they target the most are Black people. And the fact that they target Black people, to me, that's fascinating in the sense that, if you really want to understand the state of the Black community and why the Black community is so fucked up, imagine this. You have a country that leads the world in incarceration, and they dump the majority of that workload or that agony load or that trauma onto a small, tiny little island within their entire community. We're like a tiny little island. We're only 13% of the population. So the United States, even if people didn't know how much they incarcerate Black people, you would still think, wow, the U.S. incarcerates a lot of its citizens. But the problem is that pain is not equally distributed. It's really targeted heavily toward Black people for the most part. And so a lot of times when the United States, it caused the United States to lose a lot of its moral authority in the world. The U.S. used to think of itself, it always thought of itself as the policeman of the world. The U.S. would go around to other countries and say, you're violating human rights. You're arresting gay people. That's terrible. You're bad because you had committed these atrocities on your own people. And what the other countries always turn around and say is they say, you can't say shit to us because look at what you're doing to your Black people. That's what I saw a documentary on Hitler where it was a really interesting documentary. If you want like an unbiased analysis of the life of Adolf Hitler, which I was always fascinated, because I was like, oh, if he was such a terrible villain all the time, why did millions of people follow him? And that was when I really, like people like the minister, they're not really off base when they explain how certain people in certain communities, it starts with a J. I don't want to say it out loud because apparently you get persecuted and banned and shut down for even saying the names of these people in public. But really, their control of media, which cannot be disputed. A lot of people have argued that they have gone out of their way to really create like a narrative about whatever topic matters to them. So I really wanted to know the truth. So I watched that documentary. It's on YouTube, actually. It's called Hitler, the Greatest Story Never Told. And it was really fascinating to understand like why people supported him. I didn't walk away thinking he was a good guy at all, but I did not walk away with the same I typically hear. The bullshit is typically like, he was a demon, he was terrible, everybody hates you, or everybody hated him, everybody should hate him because there's nothing good that he ever did in the world because he was just the devil. I'm like, no, that don't sound right to me. I don't think millions of people would willingly just follow the devil. I'm trying to figure out what was the deal. And what it was that Hitler was a guy who seemed to be a hero to the people because the German people had been so oppressed by World War One. They had been just devastated and mutilated. And territories were taken. You know, they were slaughtering their people by the tens of thousands, right? So what Hitler came in to their community was almost a little bit like a Malcolm X kind of figure for them. I'm not comparing him to Malcolm X, but the thing is that for the people there, they were excited about the fact that they had this young leader who was like saying, "Look, they're killing our people. We're gonna fight back." And that's what got the people behind him. And then the economy started to take off under him, and people finally had their pride back, and they were feeling good. Like, it's good to be German again. We're making money again. Everything's great. So that's why everybody followed him. So if you ever want to know the truth, so anyway, here's the point. Here's what I want to get to. And I am going to circle. Let's circle back around to Nipsey Hussle. But again, I want you to tell you this. This is not a gossipy show in the sense that, you know, we might talk about something that's really interesting, but we're not talking about it just because it's a news story. We talk about it because there's a bigger picture to understand. If you're not a big picture kind of person, if you're not a chess player or a strategic thinker or a person who wants to be intelligent, then this may not be the show for you, because I see things differently. And, you know, as a professor, your brain is a little bit weird, and so I see things from different angles. But anyway, so when they got to the point where they were talking about, you know, well, what about, you know, all of the atrocities that were committed in that time, all the killings, and they didn't deny the Holocaust at all. They didn't say that it didn't happen. What they said was they put it into context. They said, well, Russia killed 20 million of its own people. This other country killed 5 million of its own people, whatever. You know, this many people, millions of people died in Europe during the war. And then also they said, in the United States, look at what you're doing to your black people. At the same time, the United States was calling out Nazi Germany for what they were doing to Jewish people. They were killing tons of black people right here in America. And they also said that most black people don't even know that 5 American presidents, write this down, y'all, pay attention. 5 American presidents were members, card-carrying motherfucking members of the Ku Klux Klan. Let's freeze on that point for half a second. Yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. How many of you knew, how many of you were taught in school by whatever white lady taught you in class every day, that 5 American presidents were members of the Ku Klux Klan? How many of y'all were taught that? Yes or no? Were you taught that? Did they teach you that in school? Did they bring that up in history class and make sure that you knew it for the test? Did they put it on your Cliff's Notes or your little notepad so you can memorize that? Did they have a question that said, how many sitting U.S. presidents were members of the Ku Klux Klan and wanted to exterminate black people? Did they do that for you? Did they make sure you got that information? Right, Shanta, I agree. That was my facial expression too. When I said, right, no, they did not. They did not say a fucking word about it. I'm like, that's a little tiny piece of information I would have liked to have learned at about the age of 0. If when I was 0 years old, I would have liked to have known that, so I could have known y'all were full of shit from the jump, as opposed to figuring it out when I was like 30. See, the thing is, when your oppressor is the one that's educating you, they're going to teach you that the oppressor is your hero. They got your ass so backed up and fucked up that you literally got Negroes out here honoring the founding fathers, literally honoring like the Pilgrims and shit. Like, you got people like that out here. You know, they really think that way because your shit's so ass backwards. You know, Malcolm X said a long time ago, and lots of people have said this, that only a fool would give his children to his enemy and let his enemy educate his kids. So y'all need to get out from under the blanket. Y'all need to get out from under the white man's umbrella. Seriously. Like, seriously, y'all are up under his shit and letting him take over your life. You know, he literally is Jehovah. You know, H to the Izzo. Like, he's like, we're going to take this over. We're going to make sure that the Negroes are controlled. And then they get Negro managers to make sure that remember, a manager is different from a leader. I did a video about that, the difference between a manager and a leader. Leaders are people that inspire you to be free. Leaders are people that push you to think differently and to become better than what you were before. Leaders push you to break out of your oppression. Managers are people that want to keep you managed under the oppression. They want to keep you under control. They're operating on behalf of a leader in order to keep you where you are. So black people don't have leaders on TV like these Negroes, Simone Sanders, and I mentioned Simone Sanders because she was out here fighting with Shaun King with her whole trifling ass. Simone Sanders ain't shit. You know, you got even people like Kamala Harris, stuff like that, whatever. The Angela Rye ain't shit. You know, you got these managers of the black community, and their job is simple. Tell me if I'm wrong. Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Do you understand that the job of Simone Sanders is to deliver votes for the Democratic Party? Do you understand that the job of an Angela Rye is to deliver votes for the Democratic Party so that she can get an important position in the party when they finally get into power? Do you understand that? Do you understand? So if you're paying attention to any black person on TV, here's a measuring stick you might want to use. Ask yourself, is this person a leader or a manager? Are they pushing me to be free, or are they pushing for me to be controlled? Are they pushing me to be liberated and to do what's best for my community? Or are they pushing me to fit into an agenda based on somebody else's wishes? Are they really trying to help me really understand what's really going on? Or are they trying to deliver me the way you deliver chickens to the fucking KFC? Seriously, that's what the Negroes do on TV. They're trying to deliver votes so that when Massa gets into the White House, Massa will give them an important job. Mark my motherfucking word. If a Democrat happens to win the next election, I don't believe a Democrat's gonna win. Honestly, I think Trump's shit is his base is airtight. they're all in agreement on their white supremacy shit. Whatever the hell you think that they are, they're in lockstep. You know, whereas the Democrats are kind of all over the place. You know, because they're supporting crazy things like Me Too. And Shaun King was fighting with what's her name, Simone Sanders, for legitimate reasons. Shaun King was like, why are you supporting Joe Biden, a guy who supported this crime bill? The problem is that Simone comes back at Shaun, and I think that she says that, you know, you're supporting this senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, who, and I believe that she was saying that Bernie supported the crime bill. So what? It's almost like it's a stupid plantation fight, because it's like my racist is not as bad as your racist. You know, my boss is, or my, like kids say, my dad can lick your dad. My dad can whip your dad's ass, right? You know, and literally, they're like literally like, my daddy, my white daddy is better than your white daddy, right? And really, neither one of y'all need a motherfucking daddy. You ain't supposed to have a daddy. You're grown. You're grown. You know, seriously, you're supposed to have a king. You maybe have somebody in your community that you really love and care about and represent. But these black surrogates are ridiculous, man. They're and it's okay that they do what they do. It's fine. That's what you are. That's what you represent. And I hate saying that about Shaun King, because I think Shaun King is in it because he's passionate about what he does. I have a lot of respect for what he does. Because he's one of the few people that will actually speak up on behalf of black men being locked up in prison and things like that. I think Simone Sanders wants more black men in prison. I think she thinks black men should just be exterminated from the earth so that all the lesbians can just run the world. I don't know, but Shaun King at least seems to be legitimate in his concern for the black male, and I like him for that. But anyway, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done that. You're at drboystv.com, the home for intelligent black people. If you want to get away from Facebook, or at least be safe from Facebook, and have a backup option, please consider Plan B. Plan A is a little bit shaky, so go to Plan B. Plan B is Blagenough, blagenough.com. That's our social media platform for people in our community, where we get really super black every day and get as crazy as we want, and nobody comes in and tells us that we can't talk. Right? Nobody comes in and says you're promoting hate speech because you quoted Malcolm X. Right? And also, yesterday was Malcolm X Day. If you didn't know yesterday was Malcolm X Day, then that's okay. Just make sure you remember it. Two things. One, celebrate it today. Go ahead and give Malcolm props. Put up a Malcolm X quote or meme or image, something like that. And next year, make sure you mark it on your calendar. Malcolm X Day is more important than Christmas. So if your black ass is remembering Christmas, I need y'all to remember Malcolm X Day. If your black ass is happy to get off of work for President's Day, then at least make sure Malcolm X Day is at the top of the list. If you're getting dressed up for Easter Sunday and taking your kids to church, dressed up so they can go hunt for the Easter bunny, whatever fuck people do on Easter, then just make sure Malcolm X Day is on the list. If you're celebrating Martin Luther King Day because the white man gave you permission to do it, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Martin Luther King was a great man, but Malcolm X Day should be at least equivalent to Martin Luther King Day and shit. We really need Marcus Garvey Day. You see, we live in a world now where black people don't need, repeat after me, black people do not need permission from white people to celebrate our heroes. I'm gonna say a couple more times, just make sure we get this. Black people do not need permission from white people to celebrate our heroes. Black people do not need permission from white people to celebrate our heroes. So yes or no? Do you understand? Do we need permission from white people to celebrate our heroes? Yes or no? And yes, Juneteenth, of course, Juneteenth is on the list. Yes or no? Do you need permission to celebrate your heroes? Do you have to go ahead? Do you need a permission slip? Do you have to say, Massa, I need to ask you, is it okay if I remember my ancestors after I remember all of yours? Is that okay, Matt? Do you need to ask for permission? Do you need the federal government to sign a new law? Do you need President Trump to sign a bill saying that Malcolm X Day will be recognized? No, you don't need none of that. You don't even need me to sign the damn bill. You don't need, I love Louis Farrakhan, but you don't need nobody. You wouldn't even need a Farrakhan to sign the bill because you live in your household and you decide what the culture is going to be up in that damn place, right? So I need you to understand that we pick our heroes. We're going to pick our holidays. We're going to pick the people and the things that we're going to celebrate, not them. Right. And we're also going to do an investigation, a CSI investigation of the people that we thought were our heroes, the white folks that we thought were good white folks. And we're going to find out what they were really all about. At Howard University, they have a big mural on the side. I knew I was at Howard. I swear to God, I was in DC and I didn't know exactly what part of the city Howard was in because I'm not geographically inclined. And I was in this hotel and I was trying to figure out what part of the city Howard was in. And I was like, am I close to Howard? I think I might be, but I'm not sure. And you know how I knew I was close to Howard? I swear to God, I looked out the window and I saw a big fucking mural of Abraham Lincoln, right? Looking all presidentially and shit. And I said, I bet you that's Howard University because we're trained to celebrate the shit out of white people, right? We gotta ask permission to celebrate black people. But and Abraham Lincoln, he's perfect. He's so wonderful. Oh my God. Okay, moving on. So let me talk specifically about. I know y'all know how I do. Y'all know I talk about whatever comes to mind. So some people come in, they're like, "You're not talking about the topic because we're used to 30-second videos because our attention span only lasts for as long as a TV commercial." Well, if that's how you think, then this probably isn't the place for you. So here's the thing with the Nipsey Hussle thing. Without going into specifics, Tanisha Foster was busted for DUI a couple years ago, and basically she has a warrant out for her arrest because she didn't show up to court. That will get you locked up. She also has an interesting history, when it comes to, if you want to call it criminality, if you will. In 2007, she was busted for vandalism, annoying phone calls, and disturbing the peace. Those charges were eventually dismissed after she completed her probation. In 2006, she was arrested for resisting arrest and disturbing the peace. So she sounds like somebody who's kind of like a high energy kind of person, a little bit out of control because, again, a mother with children, there's a discipline that you're supposed to have. It's also as a father, same thing. If you're a father and you're out here acting a damn fool and you got kids, a lot of people are going to kind of, check you on that, right? And so, maybe some mental illness, who knows? There's a lot of trauma in the Black community, a lot of undiagnosed mental illness. But to summarize it, I mean, she does sound a little bit crazy. I'm not gonna lie. And the thing is, she's not the only one that we see in terms of, people in our community that have mental health issues or discipline issues, right? Drunk driving, resisting arrest, annoying phone calls, harassing people. And the thing is that people don't understand is that when these behaviors come from a man or a woman, that's all considered to be stalking, terroristic, threatening, violence. That's psychological abuse. That's abusive behavior. And you see a lot of cases where women in particular are allowed to get away with abusive behavior because we don't identify it as such. We think it's okay, for that woman to call your phone 50,000 times, or go out and tell lies on you so she can ruin your reputation, or cuss you out in public and holler at you and go off on you and all that. And what we got to understand is that's abusive behavior, and it's really just ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous behavior, and decent people avoid people who engage in that kind of behavior. And I think that what I really also think about is that I wonder if Nipsey knew what kind of person she was before he chose to lay down and have a baby with her. Right now, some people may say, hey, you never know who you're gonna have a baby with. You only know who you're fucking. Well, if you just know if you're fucking someone, there's a chance that a baby could come out at the other end. In case you're not aware, the reason fucking was invented by God or the universe or whoever the higher power was is because that's how you make children, right? That's how kids come from, right? Or that's where kids come from. Now, some people say, Benita says, I don't think he was aware. He may not have been aware. But to me, if you tell me I wasn't aware that my baby mama or my baby daddy was crazy, I think that a question I might ask is, well, why weren't you aware? Well, because I didn't really, people don't show their real true side until they're into the relation. Yeah, but there are people. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not saying, that you're doing it wrong, because we've all made that mistake. But there are people who really are strategic about how they date. There are people that take their time to get to know your ass before they date you. I'm just telling you. The older and the wiser I got over time, and the more I had to lose, I would literally be kind of interviewing women. Not they would know it was an interview and be like, okay, well, tell me about your last 3 job experiences, and why did you leave this company? It wasn't like that. It was more like, I learned that, one, relationships tend to do better when there's a foundation of friendship. If you're talking, um, if you're talking to somebody and you're friends with them, then you have the ability to communicate when you're not having sex. Some relationships are just built on sex. I don't know if you've ever had a relationship like that where the only time you weren't arguing was when you were having sex, right? Anybody ever? Guilty as charged, right? I've been around the block, I guess. Not too many times. I don't want to go around the block 1,000 times, but I've been around the block enough. Um, and I think that the friendship foundation helps your relationship sustain itself, so that when you do get into weird situations or awkward situations or somebody's unhappy, you can work through that because you know how to talk to each other. But then on top of that, really getting to know somebody as a friend for at least, let's say, 3 or 4 months. And I mean, really having some long, deep conversations with the person for a while without them even having a clue that you're thinking about dating them really goes a long way. See, because the minute somebody knows that you're thinking about having a relationship with them, they start feeding you bullshit. They'll start giving you what you want to hear. If they like you, they're never gonna be like, oh well, I almost murdered a motherfucker 8 years ago. Like that, they're not gonna confess that to you. He's trying to get some ass, right? He's not gonna tell you what about his worst sins or his worst issues or whatever, right? You got to piece all that together. Same thing, the same thing. If a woman really likes a man, she's always going to look her best when the man is around. She's always going to give the most pleasant side of her personality. She's always going to describe herself as the victim in every situation that she's ever been in that did not work out. Yeah, my child's father, yeah, he doesn't do what he's supposed to do. He doesn't pay, he's supposed to be paying child support. He didn't pay child support for 2 years, and it's been really hard for me and my son. And then, and then dig into your Captain Save a blank. I'm not gonna say Captain Save a hole, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But he's going. Maybe she knows how to dig into that, and a lot of times, it's very persuasive, especially for men who really want to be the hero. There are men who really want to help out. Men like to be helpful. Good men do anyway. Good men want to be helpful. That they want to believe that your life is better because they're there, and I'm a man, and I'm providing, I'm getting it, I'm taking care of you, blah 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 blah. The problem though is that you have some people that, not that they're bad people. I don't believe that, but you have some people that have never learned emotional responsibility. Most people I know who are abusive, like it sounds like this lady might be abusive in her behavior. If she's getting arrested for harassing people and shit like that, sounds like she's an abuser. Most abusers I know, if you ask them, "Are you an abuser? How do you feel about abusing people?" They're two things. They are big excuse makers. Like they'll say, yeah, well, I only did that because she was tripping, or or I'd had too much to drink that night, or she was fucking with me, and let me tell you what she did, right? So they're either excuse makers or they see themselves as victims. Like most abusers, believe it or not, see themselves as the victim. I had a friend that was an abuser, and I asked him, I said, because he tried to run, he was running from the cops and everything, and I saw him, and I said, man, did you learn anything from that whole experience? And he basically said something like, yeah, I learned that I need to pick women who are going to be more loyal and not be going running off to the police because blah, blah. I was like, damn, wow, okay, that's an interesting moment. And I was just feeling bad for any woman that met him, because here's the thing: while he was an abuser without question, and while he was definitely crazy, I knew he was crazy. That's why I kept my distance. And as we got older, you got those crazy friends in high school, and then you get older, and you're like, okay, I'm not fucking with you. I don't want to be around you. The thing is, despite all of these negative characteristics, he was a hell of a charmer. He was a good looking. He was tall, better looking than me. Me, I'm not a charmer. You see me, you got to learn to love. I got a face you got to learn to love, right? But him, his ass, he walk in the room. He's tall, handsome, smart. All the women are turning to look to see if he's single, see if he's available. And unfortunately, a lot of women make the mistake of thinking that just because a man's looking at you and talking to you, that means he's available or that he's a legitimate option. And a lot of times, like, if 10 guys come and talk to you, at least half of those men are not truly available in the traditional sense. If availability means he's going to make his penis, he's going to be willing to pull out his penis and have sex with you, then yeah, everybody's available, it seems. Or a lot of people are, the majority. But if availability means, he doesn't have a relationship or other situations or other women, most men who are really appealing, attractive, all that stuff, a lot of times they got something going on somewhere else. At the very least, they got a bunch of chicks that are trying to get in, trying to get a piece of them, right? So ultimately, it's a matter of kind of being able to discern things, and discernment requires time. You got to investigate. You can't do an investigation on a person's 30-40 year background in history and their life and their perspective and their worldviews, after knowing them for a week or 3 days. So again, if you have baby mama, baby daddy drama, I really think you should go back and ask yourself, how long did I get to know this person before I kissed them? How long did I take to get to know this person before I had sex with them? How long did I take to get to know this person before I committed to that person? Right. And what you'll probably find, Ted Bundy types. Yeah, Ted Bundy was the ultimate. Oh my God. The white boys really got that shit. I mean, they go to a different level with their craziness. Ted Bundy was a guy who played the same game on women in every city he went to. He would go city to city, and he was handsome. He was charming. He was a law student. He was polite. He was funny. He did all the things that women wanted in their dream man, because he knew how to be your dream guy. He knew that literally you can convince a woman that you're her dream guy in about 5 minutes. If your game is good and let's say your reputation precedes you, I'm gonna just tell you, I can use myself as an example. Seriously, like really having money or power or fame or stuff like that. Those are like superpowers for a man. And a man who's not disciplined or intelligent can use those powers for evil rather than good. So if I wanted to be a woman's dream man, let's say I meet this woman and she's single, and I present myself as single, and let's say that she knows about Dr. Boyce Walkins, and she's like, "Oh my God, Dr. Walkins, I'm such an admirer of yours. I read your books, right?" So I already have a level of trust. Well, because I mean, why would you not trust me? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. Of course, I can't be a shitty man, right? Right. That you can play that game, right? And then if you just say the right things and you allow her to check the right boxes in her brain, then within an hour you could form enough of a sealant that could lead to an acceleration where you're fucking in a couple of days, right? And I've seen people do that. I've seen people play that game, and so I think ladies should understand. You really got to take your time to get to know people, no matter what you think that you see. Your mind is deceiving you. Love will lie to you. Love will make you just lose your damn mind and do dumb shit where you looking back and thinking, why didn't I see that? Well, you didn't see it because you weren't trying to see it. You wanted to see something else, right? The same thing with men. When they say don't trust the big butt and the smile, there you go. A woman walks up, she's gorgeous, she smiles. I mean, you got porn star hookers that know how to look like the girl next door. Seriously, you literally got women that are like Cardi B types who will drug you and rob you and fuck all your friends and take all your money, who are so good at pretending to be the little church girl next door. You might have met her in church. The girls in church, I'm telling y'all, church girls. Ooh, anybody else know anything about the church girls? Tell me if y'all, y'all know about the church girl. There's something going on subconscious about the forbidden behavior that's very exciting for the church girl. Not every church girl, not every, but like, or just like a little bit like the preacher's kids, stuff like that. Anyway, so but then we know that the male preachers, they do their thing. They get it in, right? I've heard interesting stories about that too. So the point of the matter is that with people, you got to take your time to get to know them, because if you don't, what happens is you could be letting a suicide bomber inside your house. Except instead of it being inside your house, they're inside your life. So when you look at a Nipsey in his situation, I bet you that before Nipsey passed, if you would have asked Nipsey, tell me about Tanisha, tell me about your child's mama, he'd be like, man, she this, she that, she did. Let me tell you what she did. Blah 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 blah. Right? He probably could have told you all of that. And the thing is, that's a lot to deal with when you're doing what Nipsey was doing. Nipsey was trying to build. Nipsey was trying to create a life. Nipsey was trying to move forward. And that's one of the challenges of being black in America, is that sometimes when you're trying to move forward, you're dealing with so much chaos and dysfunction around you that you have these diversions, you have these obstacles, you have these people that want to do harm to you, and the more they see that you have to lose, the more harm they threaten to do. Like, I believe that Eric Holder, let's assume that there's no conspiracy with Eric Holder with the government and all of that. That's a possibility. The government does all kinds of heinous shit, but let's assume there's no conspiracy. If there's no evidence of a conspiracy, I'm a little bit hesitant to assume yes, automatically it's a conspiracy. You got to give me evidence. I need proof, right? If there's no proof, I'm not gonna make assumptions until I see the proof. But you can't speculate, and it's okay. But let's assume that Eric Holder was just a guy, just a hater, just a guy that just said, because even if Eric Holder was said about the government, we know Nipsey had haters. If you're successful, you got haters. If you succeed in life, you're going to have people that will do what they can to try to make sure you crash and burn, because that's just what people like to do. It's fine, So if that's the case, the thing about it is that Eric Holder was probably one of many people who saw Nipsey doing things at a level that he couldn't do, or getting attention that he wished that he'd had, or excelling, and making money at a level that he wished that he could have done himself. And so he says, okay, well, fuck it. If I can't have it, nobody will. That's the nature of jealousy. That's how jealousy works a lot of times. Jealousy is like, when you see murder, suicides and shit, murder, suicides are kind of like when somebody is in a relationship with you, or they know you, and anybody who knows you is in a relationship with you. Anybody who knows you has a relationship with you. Your friends, they're in a relationship with you. It's just called friendship. Your haters have a relationship with you. That's how they learn to hate you. People don't hate people they don't know. If they didn't know you, they wouldn't hate you. You have to have an emotional attachment to hate you. So a lot of times the people who used to love you are the ones who hate you the most, right? Because love and hate are very closely related emotions. It's similar energy. It's just applied in different ways. So just be careful when somebody loves the shit out of you. Just remember that same person has the capability of hating you at a level that a stranger never could. The more somebody loves you, the more capacity they have to hate you. Remember that. So you have people that are what we call haters, right? People that just want to see you burn. And sometimes that jealousy or whatever will cause them to say, well, if I can't have it, nobody can. Or if I can't get to the level you're at, then I'm just going to fuck up your shit and bring you to the level that I'm at, right? Either I'm going to get to your level, because think of it, Steve Harvey said something like this, which I thought was actually quite profound. Not that Steve Harvey's a perfect man. He's not. He's an interesting guy, in good and bad. But Steve Harvey said, you'll never meet a hater who's doing better than you. Now you tell me, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. Have you ever had a hater who was doing better than you? Have you ever had somebody who's up here looking down and hating on you, just like just going out of their way to ruin your reputation and attack you? If they did not see you as a threat, that's the only exception. If you're accelerating past, like if you're showing talent that they don't have, and they think that you might take their spot, then yeah, the haterology might start there. But let's say that you're just sitting out here, you broke, you struggling, you ain't messing with nobody. Most of the time, you don't have haters that are doing better than you. Usually haters are people that want what you got, right? Hatred comes from that jealousy or whatever. You know, and so that's a mixed question, right? Sometimes there are exceptions, but for the most part, a hater is somebody who doesn't have what you have, right? So ultimately, your Nipsey Hussle, you're trying to hustle your way to the top. You're trying to be the man. You're trying to change the hood. You're trying to change the world. Well, an angry, jealous, annoyed, pissed off baby's mama is one of the most tried and true methods of black male destruction. A lot of men get taken down by a bad woman. A malicious woman who has emotional voids that she has not filled. Who can't handle rejection, maybe. Everybody gets rejected. Everybody gets rejected, but not everybody can handle rejection. I remember I had a friend who had a girlfriend whose father had rejected her big time. Like her father, like denied her existence and all kinds of other shit. It was really sad, and she could not handle losing a man. So if you dated her, and that's what he dated her, and he decided, I got to get away from her because she's too jealous. It's too, she's too threatened by other women, and it's driving me crazy. Because I'm gonna tell you like this: if you got some, if you don't want somebody else looking at your man or looking at your woman, then go date a fat, ugly motherfucker. Go date somebody who's so goddamn atrocious that nobody will even want to be with them. That's the only way you're gonna avoid other people checking out what you got. It's just real. Alicia called me and told me about the fact that she went to go run a half marathon when I wasn't there. And usually when she's out and running and doing stuff, I'm right there. I'm gonna be right there with her. Because I'm gonna tell you, that's a rule of men. Men, if you don't know this, if your woman is fine, don't have your woman just out here all the time by herself, all the time, everywhere. And you accompany her. If she doesn't want to be accompanied, then that's a whole nother issue. But if she wants you there and you can be there, don't just have her just out here like that. It's like taking your food and putting it out there, putting your plate of food out there on the front porch. Somebody might come along, a dog gonna come along and eat it. Right? That's just real. That took me a long time to learn that, because I used to believe the nonsense like, oh, well, women are just like men and they can go do whatever. No, I'm not saying women can't do what men can do. I'm not saying women aren't equal to men. But what I am saying is, if you think that you can just have your woman just out here and working around other men and all these weird spaces and you're nowhere around at all, aggressive men can smell when a woman is by herself. It's just an instinct. They can just tell. They'll literally just be like, so what are you doing here? And where's your man at? He ain't here, huh? So anyway, so you got to have a real loyal woman first and foremost. But just in case, either way, accompany your woman. Be there with her when you can be, right? Occupy that space. It's not that often, honestly. Anyway, let me get back to it. Let me stop talking to us before I tell her myself or say some shit that's gonna get me in trouble. But she was telling me about how when she was out there by herself, how many men were checking her out when she was on the run, when she was running this half marathon. She said so many men were looking at me, and I was like, yeah, they were looking because I wasn't there. That's because when I'm there, they don't look. When I'm there, they look away, right? Because it's out of respect. Like that's why Aisha Curry. That's the problem. That's the thing about Aisha is that your man, is a star, and a star, you can't look directly at the sun. You look at the sun blinds you, and you can't see things that are around the sun because the energy of the sun is so great. So you just look away, right? So when Aisha's next to Steph Curry, other men are like, I'm not looking. I'm not going, because also the other thing too is if you look, you might get caught staring and hypnotized, and you don't do that. Men just don't do that when they're looking at a woman that is dating a man that they respect. A lot of men respect Steph Curry. The man makes 40, 30, 40, $50 million a year. God bless him for that. Men aren't going to really, they're just going to sort of back up. Only men that are really going to violate any of that are men that are just super, super aggressive. And the reality is that most men are going to go after something that's more available, a woman that they can actually get closer to. They're not going to think, oh, yeah, I'm going to go steal Steph Curry's woman. They're just not thinking that way, right? But I bet you this, if Aisha ever wants more male attention, if Aisha ever really wants more attention from men, all she got to do is this. Just go to a lot of places without Steph Curry where there's lots of men there. If there's lots of men there and Steph ain't there, you'll get hit on 45 times before the hour is up. because or if she ever wants more male attention, just start telling your male friends about the problems you're having in your marriage, and watch how many men suddenly become very active listeners in your conversation. How many men really want to show you how much they care about your feelings, right? So it's not like it's a complicated formula. It's not like Aisha's an ugly person. I think that what was so funny was that Aisha's so fucking beautiful. Like the real men. I don't know if y'all thought this, but a lot of men were just like, "What? You're you're concerned that you're not getting male attention? Well, number one, you are, because the first thing you notice when you look at Aisha Curry is like, wow, she's pretty. She looks like the kind of woman that will be married to an NBA All-Star. Look at how pretty she is, right? And so anyway, I'm done. So going back to the point, picking the right. Actually, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done this. Hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you haven't joined Black Enough, make sure you join Black Enough. That's our Facebook for Black people. That's our social media platform that we're hanging out on. And as people are getting banned from Facebook. Also, don't forget this podcast is on iTunes. So go to iTunes, search for my name, and you can download the podcast. But I think that in general, when you're talking about dating and relationships, if you get back to the core point, there are signs. Most crazy people they drop breadcrumbs to show you that they're crazy. And what happens is, I think at the beginning of the relationship, we think crazy is cute. Like all the ridiculous shit that they do that's either going to get on your nerves or scare you later on is actually attractive to you, because you're literally processing your sentiment about that emotion. Like you're deciding how you're going to feel before you even see what they do next, right? So if he says, oh yeah, I'm a thug, if somebody make me mad, I'm gonna go kill him, maybe you think that's sexy. Maybe you think, that maybe you like the bad boy, right? The problem is that, if he says he kills people he doesn't like, then that means if you ever become his enemy, he's gonna want to kill you too, right? That's really, really important. They're going to kill you too. Or maybe you see her behave in a dramatic way or crazy way. She gets, buck in the restaurant and starts yelling and screaming or whatever. And you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm really proud because I have this strong black woman. Well, most strong black women I know are not loud black women. Loud black women and strong black women are two different things. So, it's a myth that we got to the point where we thought that loud meant strong. No, most strong women I know are cool, and they're like rocks. Rocks are very silent, but rocks are very sturdy. Most strong black women I know, that at least the ones that I've found most interesting, are like in that Felicia Rashad kind of mode. Felicia Rashad didn't yell. She didn't, or in real life, and Claire Huxtable, like in real life and on stage, she doesn't do that. She does not yell. She does not scream. She won't get ghetto. She'll never embarrass herself or embarrass her family, but she'll set your shit straight if you get out of line. Like she will break you down. She did it on TV, and from what I know about Felicia in real life, Felicia does that in real life. She's like that in real life. I know people that know Felicia Rashad, and she is fascinating because her character on TV is very similar to, from what I understand, to who she is in real life. So I think that women, unfortunately, this whole lie that like that you're showing your strength by being all loud and crazy and all that, I think that's sad because it pushes away, it repels good men. You'll still attract bad men. You'll still attract the men who see you as a challenge. Like they'll see you like a wild bronco that they gotta go tame. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna set this bitch straight. Like that's the mindset of a man who's gonna be attracted to that a lot of times. Either that, or he'll be such a complete wimp that he'll just let you kind of carry the penis and run roughshod over him in the relationship. One or the other. Either he's extremely weak or extremely strong. But the men who are balanced, who are in the middle, are going to see that behavior and say, I don't really want to deal with that. Like I probably could shut it down, but I don't want to spend my whole life trying to shut down my woman because she's out of line or making her mad at me. Like, hey, what you trying to say? You trying to say I can't talk? You trying to say I can't say nothing? I can say whatever I want to say. You ain't got no right. I don't want to have that debate with you. I'm not going to have that argument with you. If we can't talk to each other with decency, then shit, we can't even do step one in having a good relationship. The number one step in a relationship is, can we have a disagreement without somebody feeling like you got to yell at each other? Like can we at least do that? If we can't do that, if you can't do that with your partner, if you can't have a disagreement with your partner without cutting each other off constantly, yelling at each other, and getting louder so that you can make your point, right? Every time, like you're louder than him, he's louder than you, you're louder than he was the last time. If you can't debate or resolve an issue without consistent escalation, then that's not the relationship for you. You're playing a game with a very bad partner in the game. Like you're playing tic-tac-toe with somebody who does not know the rules of tic-tac-toe, right? So ultimately, when you pick somebody in a relationship, one little secret is pick somebody who knows how to argue well, meaning they know how to argue from a position of decency. They can argue from a position of respect. They understand the basic rules of engagement and codes of conduct that allow a relationship to last. If they're mad at you, they can be pissed off at you. But no matter what, they're going to start off. The more pissed off they are, the nicer they're going to be when they bring the issue to you. They're going to say, "Sweetie, I think you're so beautiful today, and I got one little thing I want to talk to you about, right? Or honey, come here. I made your favorite food, and I just want to ask you about something real quick." And then she's rubbing your arm. You're like, "Okay, what you want?" Right? She's bringing out the best in you, as opposed to the worst in you. If she's like some barracuda who's like, "You motherfucker, sit your fucking ass. What the fuck are you doing? What is this fucking shit?" And she's always like in your ear over bullshit all the time. That's not fun. And I'll tell you, ladies, that ain't cute. Like you wake up one day and he'll be gone, or he'll be laid up with some other woman. Like people. The thing about it, when they talk about infidelity, they pay attention. Notice how they do this. When they talk about infidelity, they always they always explain the reason why the woman cheated. Like there's always a reason why. Like, well, she only cheated because he was abusive, or she only cheated because he was always working, or she only cheated because he was neglecting her. Right? They always give they tend to give the woman an out, but for the man, there's no out. The man, it's always he cheated because he's a dog, right? But what they're doing is they're not remembering that men have emotions too. Men have emotions. We may not show it all the time, or we may show it in different ways, or whatever. But men have emotions too. You can hurt a man's feelings just like you hurt a woman's feelings, and so, a lot of men. I know a lot of men. I talk to men who are faithful. I talk to men who cheat. A lot of men cheat. For a lot of different reasons, but a couple reasons that come to mind. One, sometimes it's just some basic shit. Sometimes they just want to fuck something different. Sometimes their penis has an agenda that's different from their heart and their mind. Like seriously, like tell me yes or no. Have you ever seen? If you even are grown enough to even understand like that phenomenon. Like some men just kind of want something different, and it happens. I'm not saying it's right. It's not right. It's just wrong. It breaks the rules. But that it's sometimes it's not even linked to love. It doesn't mean that they love their woman less. It just means they kind of just want something different. Right? Happens all the time. People don't talk about it, but it happens all the time. No interest in this other woman. She's not a threat to the relationship. I knew an older man who I admired very much, and he did cheat a few times, but there was no point at any point where any of the women that he ever slept with at any point could compete with his wife. Right? He had his wife in a special category. Nobody else could compete with that. He never thought about leaving her. He loved her. If a woman ever thought about rolling up on her, he would probably like go off on her. Right? And not that any of that's right. I'm just telling you what it is. I'm not even telling you what should be right and what should be wrong on that, because that's such a touchy topic. Then the other reason that you'll see infidelity a lot of times might be because there's an emotional void. Maybe the man feels like you're not showing respect or appreciation to him, and the side chick does. This woman. People will always take advantage of the weakness in your relationship. That's just a fact. Why? Well, because that person doesn't really belong to you. They only belong to you because y'all agreed to be together. But you don't own that person. You don't have rights to that person just because you stamped a label on a situation and said, okay, we're together, which means nobody has any rights to you. You got to earn the love and the respect that you claim to deserve. You got to earn that. You got to renew that on a regular basis. People will give you leeway, but I've seen this. I've seen people who really think that somebody's going to be faithful to them just because y'all agreed to be in a relationship, or just because y'all signed a piece of paper saying that you're married, and you're doing nothing else to reaffirm that. It reminds me of when my daddy used to talk about in Vietnam, how guys would come in and I think if you had a college degree, they'd make you an officer. So they would really come in to this platoon with a bunch of men that they ain't never met, saying, well, I'm an officer. You have to do what I say. And they'd be like, yeah, right, motherfucker. Just wait till we get out in the field. You're going to have a bullet in the back of your head, and you're going to think it was from the Viet Cong. It won't be from the Viet Cong, right? Why? Well, because you can label somebody and give them an authority based on labeling, but that's very different from somebody who actually earned the authority, somebody who really earned it. So you can give somebody a label and say, well, because you have this label, we have an undeniable love and trust for each other, and we're going to be committed and together and all this other shit. But if you don't earn that love, then you won't get that love. If you ain't really earn, if you're not renewing that love, if you're not showing love, a lot of times you won't receive the love that you like to receive. You can't expect to receive something if you ain't giving what you agreed to give. And I remember I had a friend who was really upset with me. Well, not upset with me. Actually, she was upset with her man, but she was upset with me based because I just give an interpretation that's just kind of based on what I see. And she was really upset. Well, let me tell you how it went down. Okay, so she had this boyfriend, right? and and she was always like one of those real ambitious people. She was always traveling around the country doing business or whatever she was doing. And she would never take time to go see her man. It was a long distance relationship, which right there is already a problem. That's already an issue, right? But she wasn't sustaining the relationship. She was going, all over the country, but never took time to go see him. And one time I was on the phone with her, and I was like, "Hey, so what are you doing?" She said, "Oh, I'm going to see my boyfriend." I said, "Oh, that's great." And I said, "Is he picking you up from the airport?" She said, "Yeah, he's rushing to pick me up from the airport because he ain't had no booty in 3 months, so he's rushing to pick me up." And I was thinking, "Oh no, he's had some booty in the last 3 months." Because he was a good looking type dude, and she was a pretty girl. And I was like, "Oh, he's had some ass in the last 3 months. He just ain't got no ass with you." The quiet people are the ones you got to worry about. The quiet people, the ones who don't complain about you, it's like a health issue. Like if you're sick, your body it might be in pain, and you should be grateful for the pain because that's your body telling you something's wrong. Your body's like, "Ow!" You're like, "My shoulder hurts. Damn, I wish my shoulder would stop hurting." But you kind of really don't. If the pain going away doesn't actually address the underlying issue, right? Because they can give you something that will numb the pain, but whatever it is that's if it's a virus or something that's causing the pain or some underlying issue, so a cancer that's causing the pain, you want that pain to be there so the pain will tell you where the issue is, right? You don't really necessarily want the pain to be numbed and to go away. So in relationships, when somebody's yelling at you or complaining, well, not yelling is not cool, but if they're complaining about something like you're not spending enough time with me, or it makes me sad when you're always gone and you're not really around, I wish you were around more. Like, that's annoying to listen to. But the thing about it is that the worst thing to happen to you is when somebody gets quiet on you, especially for women. When a woman's bitching and complaining and yelling, that means your relationship has life. You know how people say, like, I love being, when I'm in pain, that's how I know I'm alive, right? So when she's like upset and nagging you about, the issues in the relationship, that tells me that your love is alive. But when she gets quiet and suddenly, there's no more issues anymore, like everything's fine. You came home after you thought that you were gonna get in trouble because you came home after midnight and she doesn't say a word. Yeah, you're celebrating, but really you shouldn't be celebrating because that could be the sign of death of your love. That could be a sign that the virus got out of control and now the virus has killed the body. And it could be also a sign that she's found some other outlet for her emotional energy, right? So in this case, my friend had this boyfriend who was really quiet. He was really supportive. He didn't complain about the fact that she didn't, go see him for 3 months at a time. He never complained. She was like, "Yeah, he's really supportive of my career." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah, sure, of course he is, right?" And so anyway, about 3-4 months later, she calls me and she's like devastated. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Oh my God, boys, I thought he might be cheating." So she was real sneaky. She did some sneaky shit. She did some shit you should never do. She actually put this program in his computer that tracked his keyboard strokes. So she was able to log into all his accounts and read his email and everything else, which is actually illegal. You can go to jail for that. And but she found out this dude had a whole. He didn't have just a whole nother life. He had several other lives with several other women. And these were some thoughts. Like, these were not women that he loved or women that he wanted to be with. These were women who filled that void that his girlfriend was not filling. If he ever wanted to have a conversation with a woman, he would call her, because they would talk and all the other stuff because she was long distance. But when he wanted affection, when he wanted sex, he had all these other women that were like, "Oh, I'll give you some sex. I'll give you some affection." Because again, he was a handsome man. A lot of women wanted him. And so she was all devastated and broken down. And I said, I have to be honest with you. I said, I predicted this months ago in my head. I just didn't say it out loud because it wasn't none of my business. But I knew that this was going to happen because you were neglecting him. You were not, you were doing everything, you going everywhere and doing everything except spending time with your man. And you think he's going to be your man and be committed to you just because y'all got a label? A label don't, a label ain't gonna save shit. Labels don't mean shit unless you make them mean shit. Seriously, labels don't mean nothing without substance. And you weren't coming, you weren't even going to see him. You weren't giving him any affection. He's a man. He's a young, he was in his 20s or early 30s. I said, men that age are horny as hell. And you ain't nowhere to be found. Well, my daddy used to always say to me, I told you my daddy just kept it real with me. My daddy said, every man is fucking something. He said, every man, never believe a man when he says, I'm not fucking anything or anyone. Like that's not true. 99.9% of the time, that is not true. He said every man is fucking something. And so if y'all ladies, if a man tells you he's not having any kind of sex or any sexual release at all anywhere, and his shit is working properly, his body is working properly, then he's probably lying. Maybe he's telling you what you want to hear. Seriously. So anyway, I know we went into a long spiel about relationships and everything else. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to just talk about a gossip about Nipsey Hussle's personal life. I mean, that's his life. That's his, his child's mother. That God bless her. She sounds like she's a little bit off. She sounds like she got some issues. Be very careful about picking out the crazy ones because as you're building, everybody in here is probably a builder. Most of you are builders. Are you a builder? If you're a builder, just say I'm a builder or say yes. So the thing about being a builder is that when you're building, you got to be careful about who you let into your building. Your building is your life. Your building is your empire. Your building is your future. You're building that right now. Be very thoughtful about who you let into your building. And believe me, I'm telling you this because I've made mistakes, when it comes to letting the wrong people into my building. And sometimes you got to roll it back and you got to fix it. You got to end the relationship, push people away. But I've learned over time, about the importance of keeping my distance with a lot of people until I'm 100% sure of what you're all about and what you really want from me. Like, what is it that you're hoping to get out of this? And also, I pay attention to how do you act when you're disappointed. There's some people who can be disappointed and they're cool. They work it out. Like, for example, I love people like Vicky Diller and my friends from the Nation of Islam, because the Nation of Islam, they have a code of conduct on how they deal with disappointments. If you get upset with somebody, you don't just act a damn fool and go crazy and yell and scream and embarrass yourself. You talk to the person, you work it out. You make sure you lay it on the table so you can have the conversation, right? You bring facts. You do things in a structured way so that you can preserve the integrity of the relationship. But then you got some people out here, if they get mad at you, they gonna just act a damn fool, scream and holler, make stupid assumptions without any facts to back up their assumptions. Like, oh well, you put that Facebook post up and you said XYZ, but I know you was really talking about me. So fuck you. You talking about me? Well, I'm gonna talk about you. So you're making an assumption, and that post may have nothing to do with you. So you should probably talk to the person and say, hey, this really happened, and this really bothered me. This really hurt me, and I really kind of felt like you were maybe saying something about me. Like, do you want to talk it out? So because if you don't do that, you're not going to preserve anything. You can't build and maintain the integrity of any institution, including your own family, if you don't know how to resolve your differences. Your family is the first institution, one of the main institutions that you build, your family and your relationship. If you have somebody inside the building who's always quick to light shit on fire, then eventually they're going to burn the whole motherfucking down. Seriously. So when you pick a partner, pick somebody who argues well, meaning that they know how to sit down and calmly discuss the issue and figure it out, as opposed to somebody who feels like they got to dominate you, trump you, they got to always win, be rude and disrespectful. Because if you get a person like that, two things will happen. Either the relationship will fall apart, or you'll spend the whole damn relationship constantly tiptoeing around their bullshit and walking on eggshells so you don't set them off. And that's not a fun way to live. It's just like being in prison. Has anybody ever been in a relationship like that, or seen somebody that's in a relationship like that? Has anybody ever gone through that? It's terrible. It's terrible. You should not be tiptoeing and on eggshells, scared to express your point of view because you know it's going to set the person off. Who the fuck are you to think that you have the right to go off on me just because I said something you don't like? I'm not your child. Seriously, same thing. That's what you say. Like, who? What fucking right do they have to feel like they can start yelling and screaming and hollering at you when you weren't yelling and screaming and hollering at them? Seriously, I need y'all. It's basic shit. Like, they have no right. He has no right to yell at you when you wasn't yelling at him. When you bought him bacon and eggs and shit, and you asked him, you told him to have a good day, and he just decides he wants to cuss you out. No, nobody deserves that. Same thing is true with women. Some of these women out of damn fucking control. Like yelling and going off and going crazy. And my response, eventually over time, it took me time to learn this. And I share this because some of y'all are younger than me, and I want you to know this so you don't spend your whole life miserable. But seriously, like, my response got to the point where if you started screaming and yelling at me, I would just be like, I'm not yelling at you. So why are you yelling at me? Well, because you've been. No. I didn't make you. I'm not making you yell at me. I didn't. There's nothing. Don't. That's another thing people do. Emotionally volatile people, which it sounds like Tanisha, Nipsey Hussle's baby's mom, was in this category. Emotionally volatile people, they're not just emotionally irresponsible, but they also don't take responsibility. So they not only are their emotions out of control and reckless, but they don't take responsibility for why they're behaving the way they behave. You can't control what somebody does to you, but you can always control how you react. You always get to decide, am I going to yell and scream and get ghetto and embarrass myself, or am I just going to stay cool? You always have a choice in that. And people who will say, well, the only reason I'm acting like this is because you made me act like that, or you made me like this, get away from that, because that's a person who does not understand emotional responsibility, and they're going to always act a damn fool, abuse the shit out of you, and then they're going to blame it on you and have your ass apologizing to somebody who just abused the shit out of you. You see it all the time. You'll see a woman apologizing to her man who did some crazy shit because she feels like, because she didn't bake the cookies right, that was his excuse to cuss her out. Or you'll see men apologizing to emotionally fucked up women who go off and yell and scream at him when he did nothing wrong. They're apologizing because somehow when you see a situation get out of control and you see the person that you love, reckless and mad and and upset, you feel like there's something you can and should do to bring them back in and to get them to calm down. So you're willing to do damn near anything, including apologize for shit that you didn't even do. And I'm telling you, stop apologizing for shit you did not do. They have responsibility for their emotional outbursts, period. So anyway, I'm going to go. You guys have a good day. Please hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up button. You guys hit the thumbs up button, please. Everybody, on the count of 3, please hit the thumbs up button. 1, 2, 3. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Please hit the thumbs up button. Okay. Also, join Black Enough. If you haven't joined Black Enough, that's our social media platform for Black people. Make sure you join that. Also, this is Dr. Boyce TV. This is the home for intelligent Black people. So if you're Black and you're intelligent and you want to build, then this is the place for you. If you want to support intelligent Black media and the growth of intelligent Black media, please go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. We'd love to have you in our tribe of intelligent Black people. And when you support us, it allows us to push out and do greater and bigger things. Also, thank you guys who came out in Philadelphia to our investing seminar. The reviews were excellent. Follow me on Instagram and go check out the Instagram, and you can see some reviews. I'm going to post. We got as many reviews as we could. And we didn't hand select people. We just literally said, tell us what's on your mind. And we were very happy with the results, and people learned a lot. So we're actually doing a digital version of that very same seminar. We're in week 2, but every week is recorded. So you can go back and watch the previous weeks that you might have missed. If you're interested in joining, please visit drboyceseminars.com. That's drboyceseminars.com. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you all very much. And thank you, Vicky, for helping to moderate, and Miss Giselle, and Dual Victory. I thought I saw Dual Victory in there somewhere. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.